This video is sponsored by Shortboxed, the easiest and safest way to buy and sell graded comic books. Visit them today using the link in the description. So this is part 2 of my must-have series on Jack Kirby's must-have comics. And I have on the desk here a nice stack of books that we are going to rip through. But if you haven't seen part 1, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and check it out. Now, with that said, I do want to show you one book. This is a book that I don't think a lot of people know about. A book that is associated with Jack Kirby. He created the character. I think he also wrote and drew this one. And like I said, I don't think folks know about Silver Star. Silver Star is the book that came out from Pacific Comics back in the 80s. It is not a bad read. If you've ever read Jack King Kirby's work, you know it takes him a little while to find a groove. But if you're looking for some Jack Kirby goodness, maybe a little bit of that Kirby crackle, Silver Star issue number 1 is not a bad book to pick up and check out. Now, with that said, if you are curious as to what other Kirby goodness I have on the desk, stay tuned. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. As you heard in that brief intro, we are going to take a look at some books associated with Jack King Kirby, who had an amazing career. He actually worked for a lot of different publishers, including Pacific Comics, Topps, Marvel, and also DC. And to that point, we are going to start things off by taking a look at some DC comics, starting with Kamandi, The Last Boy on Earth, issue number 1 right there. I picked this book up several years ago, and it is not a bad read. This is the origin and first appearance of Kamandi. I should also mention that this book was written and illustrated by Jack Kirby. I think that was part of his whole deal when he went to DC, was he wanted to do all of it because technically he could. He wasn't the best writer, but he also wasn't terrible either. This next book, Demon issue number 1, is another book that was written and drawn by Jack Kirby. It is a really cool cover, and I am pleased to have this one in the collection. Admittedly, I have not read a whole lot of Demon. I don't know why that is. I just haven't, but I at least have issue number 1 right there. Next up, we're going to take a look at another Jack Kirby creation. This might be one of the ones that he is best known for, and I will tell you, he crammed a lot into this issue. This book has a number of first appearances of characters in it that have stood the test of time that we are seeing even to this day. This is New Gods, issue number 1, and I think that there is at least 6 first appearances in this one, including Highfather, Orion, Metron, just to name a couple of characters right there. But a fantastic book. I got on a Jack Kirby kick several years ago. I went out and basically bought the entire run of New Gods, and I think there's even one maybe hanging on the wall behind me, but just a fantastic piece of history right there. Absolutely love those New Gods books. Here's another book. We're going to swing back to Marvel now. I picked this one up from a guy that I was buying books from that owned a comic shop that closed down. And I bought a number of books from him, including Amazing Spider-Man issue number 4. One of the very last books that I snagged from him was this one right here, Avengers issue number 8, the first appearance of Kang. So a really cool book right here, and Kang is actually, his prominence is coming up in the MCU. I was thankful enough, again, to snag this book a couple of years ago to add it to the collection. I would love to get a higher grade of that, but the price that I paid for that was not terrible at all. And so sometimes you just have to be thankful for what you have. So let's take a look at a couple of other books here. All of these are graded. This is a really cool book that I picked up several years ago. I was very pleased to have been able to get this one. This is Fantastic Four Annual issue number 6, and this is the first appearance of Annihilus and also the birth of Franklin Richards. Really cool book right here. I like cosmic stuff, so I kind of dug the Annihilus whole thing. So just a really cool book, and who doesn't want to own a book that has the birth of the most powerful mutant in all of Marvel Comics? This is a book that may surprise some folks that I decided to include this one, but I like Machine Man. And so I wanted to include Machine Man issue number 1, a Jack Kirby story, and also Jack Kirby artwork. Really cool book. I dig this character. I really do. I cleaned and pressed this book myself, sent it off to be graded, and unfortunately it only came back at a 9.6. This next book is a cool book. This one right here is Eternals issue number 1. Not the best movie, I will tell you, but I enjoyed reading the comic. And like Jack Kirby stuff, it takes a little time to find a rhythm, but once you do, I again tend to enjoy what he puts together. This is a Jack Kirby story and also Jack Kirby artwork. This one was signed by Marv Wolfman, but this is a 9.4 right there. Don't have a whole lot of signed books in the collection, but I paid a decent price for this one several years ago, and just a really cool book to have. And the next book, the next two technically, potentially, are some of the books that Jack Kirby is well known for. This one is one of 3 that I really enjoy, known as the Galactus trilogy. Didn't want to include all of them, just decided to include the one to serve as a placeholder for all of them. This is Fantastic Four issue number 48, and this is the first appearance of the Silver Surfer and also Galactus. Fantastic book. If you have not read this story, read it. It is honestly a good story. It's a good trilogy story. I don't know that there were always a lot of multi-issue story arcs back in the day, but that is one of them, and it's one that I enjoy. This very last book is just a great book. I hear that Jack Kirby may have actually done a prototype of these characters years before it was actually included in this comic. I have not yet verified that, but that's one of the things that I've heard, much like there is actually a prototype Black Panther before the Black Panther was actually introduced in FF. But this one is Fantastic Four issue number 1. Picked this one up several years ago, 2.5 from CGC. Again, just wonderful pieces of history and just wonderful representations of artwork from a legendary artist. So wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys. And again, it's impossible for me to include all of the Jack Kirby goodness into a single video. Go back, watch the first part, and then comment here if there's still something that I actually missed from part 1 and from part 2 that you think should have been highlighted. Maybe we'll do a part 3. I don't know. With that said, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give the video a thumbs up, share it in your community, and if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.